Hi everyone, this is Tom with another video. Today I'm going to be looking at the semifinals for Worlds 2020. If you're wondering why I didn't do this for the quarterfinals, it is because I did it in article form and I will be doing it in article form as well for the grand finals. So if you want to catch that content, be sure to check out my Twitter and follow me there because that's where I post the links to those articles. But yeah, for the semifinals, I'm going to be doing a video. Just share some thoughts about the matches that are going to be played and why I think the team that is going to win, in my opinion, would win. And also reflect a bit in doing that on what happened in the quarterfinals. So, first up, we have obviously on Saturday, it's G2 versus DAMWON Gaming in the lower part of the bracket of the playoffs. Now, G2 played against Gen.G and Gen.G got clapped hard. They were swept by G2 in a 3-0 fashion. I think G2 played really well overall. I think they came with a solid game plan and it was refreshing to see the team be so in line. That said, I have to say I was disappointed in how Gen.G performed. I think G2 also said it in one of the press conferences I uploaded in this channel that they thought that Gen.G would adapt to the level 1 stretch of G2, but they simply didn't. And that is where I think you can just blame Gen.G. I think in individual performance overall, you could still see that Gen.G had good plays, but G2 just had the right approach to tackling Gen.G as an opponent in that way. Obviously, especially Caps in game 2 and 3, outstanding performance. Game 2 will go down as one of probably the best matches ever played by him in his League of Legends career. Unbelievably strong, but I have to say that I was always super pleasantly surprised by how Jankos performed. I think G2 overall has learned better how to play as a team around the jungler in this meta, and it's really coming to fruition now, and it's high time that it should. Also, I think Mickey X is, well, he's getting a lot of praise, but I think it's still not enough. I think as a support, even in the plays where you think it was Caps doing all the work, he was there to back him up. For example, there was a play in the mid lane against Gen.G, where Mickey was there to first be a meat shield and then eat Caps up in time to protect him. And I think he's an incredibly important part in why G2 is got where they are. In the group stage, Mickey X was already really good, and I think now in these best of fives, you get an even better view at how good he is because you can see him play in multiple matches in a row, and it's easier to see how great he is. As for DAMWON, who obviously played against DRX, and well, it wasn't a close match at all whatsoever. Very heartbreaking, obviously, for DRX. But DAMWON was just better in every single sense of the word. They played as a team. They played dominantly. They had a better draft. They had, they just were just one step ahead of DRX along the way. I don't think there's much to say extra about DAMWON that we learned because they didn't really have to pull out many tricks to play against DRX. They already had played against them, and it was just a very dominant victory. So when G2 plays against DAMWON, it's obviously a rematch of a quarterfinals of Worlds 2019. The DAMWON players have repeatedly said in interviews all across several media that they're really looking forward to facing G2 and hopefully claiming their revenge. And I still think, if you've seen my Pick'ems prediction video for the playoff stage, which I'll link above in this video at the moment, you would have seen that I predicted this semifinal to happen, G2 versus DAMWON, and that I think DAMWON will advance. Has that changed since the quarterfinals were played? No, I still think DAMWON will win. And why is this? Against Gen.G, you could see that G2 still had some problem with the early game. Sure, they had good invade plans and good level 1 strats to get them ahead a bit, and which eventually they would know how to snowball into their advantage, but you could still see them struggling. There were some errors that they made that, people were definitely biting their nails seeing G2 make those mistakes, especially in game 3 against Gen G. It looked for a while that Gen G might have had a chance to come back into the game. Eventually G2 turned it around, obviously, and closed it out. But against DAMWON, you cannot make these mistakes. It's simply not allowed. It's if you do it, you're just literally giving them like a way to close out the game, because DAMWON is not a team that is gonna let any mistake go unpunished. And we've seen that in the group stage. They played against Rogue, they played against PSG Teller, and even their first game against JDG, where they stomped JDG completely. You could just see very easily that any mistake that was made by the opponent, DAMWON just instinctively knew how to respond to it and how to capitalize on it and how to use it to gain a bigger advantage in the game. And I still think that while G2 has looked more promising, and there's definitely, you could see an upward trend in their play throughout the tournament, I have high doubts that they will reach the necessary level by the time they face DAMWON. This is obviously, I hope that they prove me wrong, because I've covered the LEC. It's kind of my specialty. I've followed this team all year, and in many ways I would love to see them make it to the grand finals again, like they did last year, to get another shot. That's obviously a great storyline to follow as well. But if I look objectively at how they've been playing so far, I think they're gonna have a much tougher opponent in DAMWON Gaming. And while Caps has been performing phenomenally, while Mickey X has stepped up, while the team is learning to play better around Jankos, Wunder is doing his stable job, right? Wunder is an incredibly good top laner and has been so this tournament as well. Perks has been a bit on and off for me in the tournament so far. But I still think that even though G2 has leveled up that play, they will put up a fight against DAMWON Gaming. I do expect it to go to 5 games, whereas prior to the quarterfinals, I might have even said like it will be a 3-1 for DAMWON, but now I do think that it will go to 5 games. But I think in the end, DAMWON, once they are forced to pull out all the tricks that they know, will be able to overcome G2 and advance to the grand finals. On the other side of the bracket, we have Top Esports versus Suning. Now, Top Esports, first of all, played against Fnatic in the quarterfinals and had an unexpectedly difficult time playing against Fnatic. It was a 3-2 series. It was the first reverse sweep in world's history, actually, where Fnatic took a 2-0 lead, and everybody was really excited. I was excited as well for Fnatic to upset Top Esports, advance to the semifinals, but then Top Esports won one game, and from there on you could just see Fnatic's mentality broke. They started playing incoherently, and Top Esports just started playing better as well. I think Top Esports really underestimated Fnatic with the preparation. You could see that in how they approached the draft, where they gave Fnatic comfort picks. They gave them picks that were good for Fnatic in the meta, and you should have known that they would be good on these champions. But still, not to take anything away from Fnatic at all. I think Reckless and Hillesing have played the series of their lives. I don't think I've ever seen them play even remotely as good as they did against Top Esports, playing out of their mind. It was just a really, really good match for them to watch, and I think they did EU proud. But Top Esports, on the other hand, I think they seriously hurt their image with that series against Fnatic, because these were supposed to be the tournament favorites, right? Sure, they dropped the game against FlyQuest in the group stage, but I still think overall they looked really good. But when you look at how they played this game, and reverse sweeping, don't get me wrong, takes a lot of mental resilience, and definitely props for that. But they should never have had this much trouble with a team like Fnatic, realistically, and I think that they figured out how Fnatic plays the game throughout the game, and that's how they were able to reverse sweep them. You could see that even in game 3, it was like, okay, well, they weren't like 100% beating Fnatic yet. It was still like a 60-40, right? And as that series progressed and Fnatic's mental got worse, the Top Esports feel of how Fnatic plays the game got better. They were gradually improving throughout that series, Top Esports, and their opponent, Suning, has been gradually improving throughout the tournament. They played their semifinal against JDG and beat them 3-1. And if you just look at how Suning has improved in their play, you look at the group stage. Already they were super strong. Already they knew how to play around. They mainly play around the top lane in the early game with SOFM helping Bin a lot. These are two incredibly good players on the roster. And in the bot lane, you have a super solid bot lane, Huang Feng and Sword Art. And I think Sword Art against JDG, especially Huang Feng, especially against JDG, had an incredible series. And this is a team that has just been ramping up as the tournament progressed in faster fashion than, for example, a G2, where you could see like a G2 in the group stage, you could see that they still have the fundamentals there, but it just didn't click in time. And Suning, the way I see it, is that their whole fundamentals and approach to the game has leveled up throughout the tournament so far. Now, I think still people have been very critical of Angel, the mid laner of Suning, and I do still think that he is the weak link on Suning of all the players, but he's not bad. Like he's definitely not somebody like, for example, how you would say on Nemesis, on Fnatic, Nemesis is a definite detriment to the team. I don't think Angel has that same ratio of skill and how much of a liability he is to the team. He holds his own decently, right? And against Knight in top esports, he will have a tough opponent. So let's talk about the match between these two then, because top esports plays against Suning. And remember, when I said about top esports that they didn't do the preparation well for Fnatic, which in my opinion is why they lost that game, the first two games, and had to turn the series around and made it more difficult on themselves. The advantage top esports has when it comes to facing Suning is that they already know how this team plays. They have a whole year of LPL experience to learn from. They've seen them play before, and it's just something that's closer to you, right? When you, when I interviewed players of the LEC teams, many said like, yeah, you know, like we don't really play against EU teams, or we know how to play against the EU teams, so we pay less attention to those at the moment. And I think this would be the same for LPL teams, where it's like, okay, they probably have scrimmed more against teams from other regions because they know what to expect from their opponents in the LPL. And I think this is a big advantage for top esports compared to when they faced Fnatic, when top esports plays against Suning, because they already know how Suning is likely to approach the game. Now, I do hope that they do their additional research though, because Suning, as I said, has improved their play throughout the tournament, throughout Worlds so far. And if they are going to come in unprepared, it might just be very well that Suning gets a 1-0 or 2-0 lead, much like how Fnatic did, because if top esports is arrogant and thinks, well, we know how to play against them anyway, that can backfire a lot, because I think people will can seriously underestimate how well Suning have been playing so far. Now, in the end, I do still think that top esports wins this, and that is mainly because of the individual power on this team. I think while Bin and SOFM are incredible, and I think Bin, you could easily say that he's the better top laner than 369 at the moment. SOFM and Karza, I would still give Karza the edge, I think. But in the mid lane you have Knight, who, you know, over Angel. In the bot lane you have Huan Feng and Sword Art on Suning's side, and you obviously, I think Huan Feng, who was a standout player against JDG, looking at his opponent, who is Jackie Love in the bot lane, and Jackie Love did not show up. Don't get me wrong, like against Fnatic, Jackie Love was nowhere to be found, and Fnatic's bot lane, even in the games they lost, they played so much better than top esports. But it's such a difficult matchup. Like, I think that Jackie Love is also one of those players that once he has figured out his comfort zone, he gets a lot better. And in the group stage, he had just simply weaker opponents to play against. And in the quarterfinals against Fnatic, he had a really strong opponent, and he needed a lot of help from his jungler and from the mid lane to help beat Reckless and Hylissang in the bot lane. But overall, I do still expect Top Esports to win this, as I still have in my prediction. But once again, similar to how I think DAMWON and G2 will take it to 5 games, I would not be surprised at all if Top Esports and Suning goes to 5 games, because these two teams, you have a Suning who has climbed to the top level throughout the tournament, and you have Top Esports who were at the top level heading into the tournament, performed very well, had a bit of a a speed bump last week against Fnatic, but I do think and I do hope, because it's really necessary, that they are able to reset their mind, overcome the tilt of having an unexpectedly difficult time against Fnatic, and give a good performance against Suning. Because in the end, I'm here to watch the best League of Legends play. I'm not here to watch pros stumble and fumble. Even though it can be funny at times, I'd rather watch them play at the top level and see what that's like. So those are my preview thoughts and my predictions as well for the Worlds 2020 semifinals. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the matchups, and also let me know if you have adjusted your pickups, because I believe that you now this year can adjust your pickups for the semifinals and the grand finals separately as well. So next week you can still change your grand finals prediction, which I don't know, I preferred when last year you could just had to lock in your top 8 and then you could see how well you predicted your top 8, and now you can adjust at every step. I suppose with the rewards they have, that is like you can 500 red like orange essence or something, and next week you can get a hextech chest to lock in, and maybe it's an easier way in for people who forgot it. But I'm not gonna adjust them. I'm gonna leave them the way they are. And I'm just super excited to see the matches of the semifinals. I think they will be really, really, really good, because looking at the quarterfinals, we had Fend against Top Esports, a really good match. Really enjoyed it. I think Soon against JDG was also a very good match. But then you look at DAMWON versus DRX, which was probably the most boring best of 5, maybe even of the year, because it was so one-sided. And I saw people saying, I could have just not woken up for this and just seen the result and moved on with my life that day. I think the G2 match was exciting because we could see G2 step up to a level we'd hoped to step them up. And obviously Caps' performance, as has been said many times now, was phenomenal. So I think that definitely was worth watching, but it was not an exciting series in the sense of competition. So I do hope that the semifinals deliver. I do hope that these teams go in with all the fireworks and all the fire of competition and the ambition to go to the finals, because I don't know, Worlds has been different for this year. Like not having a crowd respond, not being there at the venue and seeing the players live. I think like for many people it has been a different vibe. I still enjoy the production. I think they're doing a really good job. But yeah, I definitely hope that the semifinals invokes that spirit of Worlds a bit more than most of the matches have so far. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. If you do like it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more content. I am a bit shorter content because they're not doing interviews at the moment. But I'm uploading all the press conferences to this channel. As you can see in my Worlds 2020 interview list, you can see all the press conferences that have been held so far with all the teams, win or lose. And I hope that I'll be able to do some interviews. I'll reach out to see if any of the teams would be willing to offer something like this. I did do an interview with Lucy, the analyst for G2, not too long ago. You can find this on my channel as well. But yeah, I do have content planned, obviously, for the off season. I'm not gonna leave this channel untouched for 2 months, but more about that later. For now, thank you very much for watching, and well, see you next time.